Namaskaram. Welcome to my channel VPK Nutrition Modern Vedic Integrative Wellness. Continuing with my series on relationship, stress, and health, this week I want to talk about another important aspect of relationships, communication. I have discussed about love in my last episode, and I hope you found that useful. In today's episode, I wanted to cover a little bit more about our different communication styles and how Ayurveda explains how our nature changes our communication, and also how this can have an impact on our health, and give you some practical tips at the end on improving our communication style and also our overall well-being. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. A very heartfelt thank you to all my subscribers and for your continued support. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing. And if you find this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and also share with those that can be benefited. So let's begin with today's topic. Have you ever noticed that even if two people are communicating with each other with good intention, they can still end up upsetting each other? One of them may think they're being helpful, but the other person may take it as criticism. Or one person may be just sharing a bunch of things and being excited about something, and the other person may just feel overwhelmed. Now, again, communication is very different for different people. And this communication style that we cultivate as from childhood is influenced by our own upbringing, our personality, our doshas, and also how we deal with stress. So Ayurveda gives us a very interesting, intuitive way of looking at how each personality communicates, and understanding this would actually give us a better way of dealing with all of our relationships in a more effective communication style. Ayurveda explains our style of communication based on the doshas, vata, pitta, and kapha, and how it can show up in our relationships. Although we are influenced a lot by the way we grew up in, our inherent nature definitely dictates how we respond to other people. Vata is very quick. They're very expressive. They talk a lot. They're full of enthusiasm, sharing lots of ideas. They're very spontaneous and full of energy that they want to share everything. Now, when Vata is stressed, they feel anxious, they feel scattered, and they may just say a lot of things that don't make any sense. Pitta communication is more direct, more focused, more problem-solving, problem-oriented, or solution-oriented. So they like to, if somebody is sharing things with them, they want to give some kind of a solution. They're not actually listening to it from a very heart-centered perspective. And when they are stressed, they can become very irritable, impatient, and even become very judgmental at some times. Kapha communication is more calm, steady. They don't express a lot. They kind of keep things to themselves a lot, but they just give you that steady presence. So they become really good listeners. But sometimes if you want them to express things, they do not share a lot. When they're stressed, they usually withdraw, become very silent, and don't express what they're thinking. So it becomes very difficult for someone else with a different communication style to understand what's going on, and that can also cause frustration and stress. So often communication is not because two people have bad intentions, but it just means that they are coming from two different internal states, which guides how they communicate with the other person. Let's look at this from a simple example. The same couple, Daya and Arun, I talked about in the last video, go to a trip. Now, Daya, as I mentioned before, she's more of a Vata Pitta. She's always excited, looking at all of the possibilities and coming up with a bunch of things to do on her vacation. And she's talking about these things with full of enthusiasm to Arun. However, Arun, he's more of a grounded personality with a Pitta Kapha combination. So he wants to come up with practical solutions, and he also does not want to do a lot of things because it's very overwhelming. He likes more steadiness, staying in one place, and also practically saying, I think that's too much. I don't think I want to do that much. I don't think we have the time or we can do this. Now, when Daya listens to this, all her enthusiasm is suddenly squashed. She's not making plans. She's just talking about it as a possibility. And she hasn't even discussed it yet. So in her mind, she feels unheard. She feels like her fire is being squashed and she tends to withdraw. However, Arun feels, what did I say wrong? And he gets defensive. What did I say wrong? I was just saying it's not practical, we don't have the time, etc. So you can see how they are interacting and kind of withdrawing from each other without understanding what's going on, right? So when you step back and see, neither one of them was wrong. Both of them were acting from their own personality. So this kind of pattern often continues in long-term marriages or partnerships or even long-term relationship of any kind. So if you don't recognize this in the beginning and let it escalate, this can become a pattern, and over a period, this pattern can lead to a lot of resentment and a lot of stress in the relationship. And finally, this starts to affect our mental, emotional, and also physical health. As you can see from this example, communication can either deepen our connection through understanding or create a lot of misunderstanding when it is not done properly. And in this case, it was not done properly. So how do we improve our communication in such a way that we actually preserve our mental and physical well-being and enrich our relationships so we feel more alive? And here I'm going to share some practical tips to start today. Here are some practical tips. Number one, know your own communication style. Are you a person who's very excited and expressive and loves to share a lot of things? Are you a person who's very much practical and solution oriented and to the point and straightforward? Are you someone who is pretty quiet and does not express everything that comes to mind? Number two, notice the other person's communication style, again using the same criteria that I mentioned. Number three, intention is important. So don't assume negative intent too quickly. Number four, look beyond the words at the emotions underneath. This is very important because it creates a certain space so that we can understand the other person from the heart and not let our ego control the conversation. Number five, when you feel this conversation is escalating more than it should, then step back a little, take a pause, and maybe come back and revisit this later on when you feel much calmer. Again, you have to revisit because otherwise it's going to fester and lead to resentment, causing more stress. And this can, over a period of time, create a lot of problems. So these are some great tools that you can use right away to start improving your communication. Now again, here you're starting again with awareness first of your style, the other person's style, your patterns that you've had in your relationships, and again, looking at it with more compassion rather than from the ego, and also de-escalating things if they get too much, and then revisiting the subject to get some closure when you're in a much calmer place. So hope this was very helpful for you, and if you found any of this resonated with you, please share your thoughts in the comments and also share it with others who you think may be benefited from this. Again, listen to your body, observe your mind, and heal yourself, and have a wonderful week ahead, and I will see you in my next episode.